Hello, my name is METİN Arıdaşır. This is 407th part of explanation of my theory. Arıdaşır's mine Quasi-Electron, shadow electron, replication, duplication theory and polarization, entanglement explanations. For a long time, I thought that the single wave pulse of proton-bound electron was just one single spherical wave expanding at the speed of light. This single wave pulse resulted from a change in the proton-bound electron motion form's adiabatic environment. This a type of tension pressure change pulse from shrinking proton-bound electron motion form expanding as a motion form opposite to meta-sensation perception matter. By the way, the free electron motion form and its consecutive waves are perpendicular motion form surfaces to meta-sensation perception matter. First cycle, tangential speed. Second cycle, tangential speed and motion direction, tangential speed direction. Third cycle, etc. Yes. By the way, free electron motion form and its consecutive waves are perpendicular motion form surfaces to meta-sensation perception matter, and this is my explanation for transverse propagation of light. Yes, transverse because tangential speed side. This is speed of light component, or this, but always tangential speed direction. Transverse. Okay. Since the surface motion is unidirectional in the direction of tangential speed, since there is no bidirectional oscillation, I can explain this polarization with this adequately. Down, if electron motion for motion axis up, transverse wave direction is tangential speed direction down. If axis down, transverse wave direction, single direction, up, or 30 degree, 45 degree, 15 degrees, etc. Okay? Yes. Again and again. I hope you see. According to my theory, the source of laser light was also these single wave pulse waves from proton-bound electron motion form, which were artificially sequenced. Experimentally, we know that laser light can be polarized. So, if this single wave pulse were a wave that expanded longitudinally at the speed of light, similar to a sound wave but with different speed, how could laser light be polarized? Therefore, I thought that single wave pulse must have a motion surface perpendicular to meta-sensation perception matter, and it must cycle, it must expand as a transverse wave. Thus, this wave would acquire a direction in one hand, on one hand expanding, on one hand directional, transverse, like this, like this, like this. It must cycle and it must expand as a transverse wave. Thus, this wave would acquire a direction relatively to meta-sensation perception matters, such as up, down, left, right, or other degrees, etc. So, when I looked around single wave pulse sphere, how would it expand, for example, by cycling downwards in the same down direction or other direction? For this to happen, single wave pulse would need to possess the same motion arrow as the electron motion forms and similar structure. This is proton-bound electron motion form. It expands by the effect of free electron motion forms consecutive waves. When these effective waves vanish, it shrinks again. While shrinking, it push out a single wave pulse. But this single wave pulse reproducing or replication, duplication of duplication of proton-bound electron motion form. This duplication, not the same size, this duplication is electron-like, quasi-electron, and it has motion arrow like this. Okay? For this to happen, single wave pulse would need to possess the same motion arrow as the electron motion forms and similar structure. Yes, this is also a type of a free electron motion form, and it has motion arrow, but unlike free electron motion form, its motion arrow is not strong enough to continuously generate spherical waves. Okay? Yes, this single wave pulse is a kind of self-duplication of electron motion form, but not with exactly the same properties. When a proton-bound electron motion form is freed, it starts to emit endless consecutive waves, but a single wave pulse or a quasi-electron, shadow electron, cannot do this. A quasi-electron is another type of light. Even arranging consecutively as laser beam, waves are not intertwined, not interconnected, not interinteracted. And what does it mean? Their tangential axial speeds added at each cycle in the frictionless meta-sensation perception matter. If they were interacted, intertwined, interconnected as free electron motion forms consecutive waves. But here, expanding, not consecutive waves, okay. Even arranging consecutively as laser beam, they are not interconnected, these consecutive laser beams or quasi-electrons. By the way, don't forget that a photon is an inseparable imaginary point on the motion surfaces of electron motion forms or quasi-electron motion forms. Light is a point effect, and an electron motion form has point effect on interactions. These point effects are nothing but photons. Entanglement. Sometimes and rarely, two separate quasi-electrons produced in quick succession in a proton-bound electron motion form can overlap or be entangled. Their entanglement to opposite side, up and down, quasi-electrons and enlarging, okay, in one side and other side, up, down. If you find up, it must be down. Okay, here. They make joint motion with their motion arrows, that one is up and the other is down, etc. Sometimes even they may have different energies and corresponding wavelengths. Yes, I will go on next. Have a good day. See you later.